Hello everyone and welcome to Autocrat. This is episode 30. Yes, 30 episodes already, which is quite a little achievement. So welcome to our episode 30. We're very glad to be here. Go have a look to all our social media. Let's celebrate this and tell us what your favorite episode so far has been. Anyway, this is episode 30, Hercules part 6, the Erymanthian Boar.
Yes, as the title says, this is all about, well, the Erymanthian Boar. And there's a bit of Diodorus I wanted to get out of the way before we start.
Please do.
Because Diodorus doesn't have this as the next labour, but instead the third. We're following Apollodorus and his version of events as we've seen before, so we're following Apollodorus' number of tasks, not everyone else's, which is all over the place. As we've seen with the fanboying over Egypt in the past, I'm sometimes considering Diodorus a less reliable narrator. There is a fun story which he narrates, quite randomly in fact, which is that Alcmene was the last human that Zeus had children with, as none of his other children could ever hope to match our protagonist Heracles. Apparently the first of these women who he had children with is Niobe, Alcmene's distant ancestor. Anyway, that random little Diodorus tangent out of the way, onto the boar, shall we?
We shall. It was not meant to kill this, but bring it to Eurystheus while alive, which I guess might be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
This thing had its home in Mount Erymanthus and had been terrorizing the region of Sophis.
Okay.
So again, with something terrorizing a region.
Yep.
Diodorus says that its home is in Arcadia on Mount Lempeia.
Okay. So we've got a bit of a discrepancy, but again, pinch of salt as to where exactly it is. The main point is we've got to go out and fight a boar.
We do. While there, Heracles stayed at the house of a centaur called Pholis.
Right.
While there, Heracles asked for wine. Pholis was reluctant to open the wine which belonged to all the centaurs collectively because he was afraid. However, Heracles told him not to worry and cracked it open.
Right. I'm sure this is going to go down really well, that the collective property of the centaurs is just being taken by Heracles.
Well, do tell us how it went.
Well, the centaurs were attracted by the smell, and they showed up with weapons and rocks at Pholis' cave. Heracles chased away the first two centaurs, Anchias and Agrius, and then chased off all the centaurs as far as Malea, where they hid with another centaur called Chiron. Chiron was the teacher of Heracles previously, as I believe we might have said before. But we've definitely covered him before in our astronomy-themed episodes.
We have.
Chiron was only living in this region because he'd been evicted from Mount Pelion by a separate group called the Lapiths. Anyway, Heracles fired on a centaur called Elatus as they were huddled with Chiron. It went right through Elatus' arm and hit Chiron in the knee. Remember, this is one of the poisoned Hydra arrows. Heracles tried to cure Chiron with his medicine, but it didn't work. Chiron wanted to die, but couldn't, as he was immortal, so Prometheus offered himself in exchange as an immortal, and so Chiron was allowed to die. And I believe we've discussed this before in connection to one of the constellations.
That's kind, I guess.
Yeah, it's something. I don't fully understand how this works, as Prometheus was already a god, so it's not really an exchange, if I understand it correctly, but we did cover this in our astronomy episodes. The rest of the centaurs were scattered. Meanwhile, his host Pholis picked up one of the arrows, marvelling at how such a large centaur could be killed by such a tiny weapon. However, it slipped from his grasp and landed on his foot, meaning Heracles returned to find him dead.
So this one can die?
Yes. Chiron is the immortal centaur. I think he's the son of Kronos, which might be why he's immortal. I don't know about the lineage of the rest.
We should put a safety warning on those arrows, like, do not touch.
Yeah, keep out of reach of children and centaurs. Anyway, Heracles buried him and then carried on to his task, which is the actual point of this episode, so take it away.
This task was thought more challenging because it takes a lot to hold back not to kill the boar when you're winning the fight against it.
Makes sense.
I'm sure it does take a lot of yourself.
Yeah.
After all, you either fight it too well and kill it, or else release it so it attacks you.
Yeah.
However, he managed. Somehow.
Okay. I mean, you need to walk that fine line, I guess, and apparently he's quite good at that.
Yeah. Apollodorus says he chased the boar out of a thicket by yelling. I like to see him dressed with an apron, be like, "Mean boar! You should stop terrorizing people!"
What have I told you about savaging countrysides?
He then chased it into a bank of snow and thereby carried it back to Mycenae.
Right. Now, this makes me think that the snowdrift theory is not particularly likely for the Carenaean deer, because we've seen this exact story 2 episodes ago. Either that, or both of them just get chased into snowdrifts, and this is now Heracles' new thing.
Oh, and as a little thing, Eurystheus was so very scared when the boar was brought back that he hid in his jar.
Of course he did. I mean...
It's the one who asked for it to be alive, but
Yeah.
it's the one who gets to hide in his jar because it's too scary, Heracles. Please take it away.
Hey, I mean, he built the jar, at least he gets the value out of it now.
It does.
Plus, possibly these stories are just meant to emphasise how manly Heracles is, and therefore how much of a wimp Eurystheus is, because, oh look, he hides in a jar when this thing shows up.
Well, this brings us to the end of this particular task. I hope you liked this episode, and we'll see you next time with our next episode.
Yeah, in the meantime, have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Did you like this episode?
I thought it was fun. I mean, it's a shorter task than most of the others we've covered, but hey, we did set out to cover these tasks 1 episode at a time.
Well, it's nice because
It does.
like
Plus, we can actually focus on future.